Once again, I'd like to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing great. Check this out, this is absolutely spectacular. So I've come to the Canadian Rockies with my buddy, my buddy Jeremy, who's sitting there having a glass of wine and a cigar. And originally we'd planned to go to an area called Malign Lake, which is actually in Jasper. We've got a canoe with us, we're going to canoe down, camp and take some photographs, but it's really windy up that way. So we decided to come down south a little bit towards Banff, and we thought, we'll go and check out Abraham Lake. Now some of you may recognize this area. This is, I came here with Thomas Heaton and Nick Page and Gavin and Brent last winter. And we were photographing, I don't know if you recall, I'll leave a link up here if you haven't seen the video, ice bubbles. And those guys kind of photographed ice bubbles, and I ended up going off into the background there to photograph trees. Anyway, we thought we'd take our chances and come out this way to see if there's any fall color. And as you can see, the autumn color is spectacular. We've caught it just at the right time. But as an added bonus, the water levels are really high right now. So a lot of these trees are actually submerged in water. So it adds another element to it. Like there's some trees over this way that are totally submerged. So in some cases you might get an individual tree just sitting there in the middle of the lake in autumn color. So the potential here is just great. So we've decided, rather than go back up to Malign Lake, we're just going to spend a couple of nights here and see what we can do here. And also on the other side of the lake, there's some spectacular autumn color on that side too. So we'll take the canoe and go and check out that side as well. So I'm really excited. And as you can see, Jeremy's really, really excited as well. But yeah, this is a great spot to camp. There's actually quite a few people camped in this area. Good morning everybody, I hope you're all doing great. Right, got up this morning really early, and the light was beautiful, especially in the clouds, but we didn't get any direct sunlight in the valley here. There's some pretty high peaks that the sun has to come over, and even though the fall color is beautiful, I don't know, for my own personal taste, I just feel that it needs a little bit of light, like directional light on it. And so I've been waiting for the sun to come over the mountains there, and of course now it's clouded over, so the light is very flat, and it's really kind of unfortunate because this area here, you can see the aspen here have been flooded out, but the color of the water is just beautiful. It's kind of this turquoise blue color. And then, I don't know if you can see down here, we have all the aspen leaves down here. So the potential is really great. I found a composition here with the bottom of the trees in the water. And the colors are quite nice. They're kind of pastels, like blues and yellows. But I think it would be better with some directional light. And if the sun was up, then we'd be getting some backlight, which would be really nice, because we'd be getting backlit leaves in the reflections and also above the water. So it's a little disappointing, but I think that Jeremy and I are just going to stick it out here because the weather is supposed to improve over the week. I think there's so much potential here that it's just worth staying here. And even if I just get one or two shots, I think I could get some really great shots here. Something very different, especially with these flooded out trees. Just taking this photograph, I just realized that the lake is moving a little bit, and my exposure was around 1 second, and the water looks really nice at a slower shutter speed, especially with these trees, especially if they're sharp. So what I've decided to do is try my hand at putting a 3-stop circular polarizer on. So I have these breakthrough photography filters where they have an ND filter built into the polarizer, which are very handy. And I put the 3-stop on, and I think the results are going to be really good because the exposure, I've got it down to around 10 seconds. There isn't a lot of movement in the actual trunks of the trees, just the water. So I think the effect will look really good. I'll show you what I have on the back of the camera, and I think with a bit of careful post-processing, I could really bring out those subtle kind of blues and yellows. So I'll show you what I have here. All right, so hopefully you can see this okay. What I've tried to do is separate all of these trunks from one another, and I think I've done a reasonably good job. You can see there's one on the left here, and then one in the middle, and so on and so forth, and they're not really overlapping, and that I always look for that in my forest photography. But what I really love about this scene is the subtle yellows in the background, and also these kind of turquoise blue in the lake here. So as you can see, the ripples in here are a little bit distracting, but if I take this shot, it's going to be about 10 seconds long. Okay, and if we just look at the preview here, and you can see that it's really smoothed out that water there, and I think it really adds to the photograph. I mean, we'll have to see when I open it up in Photoshop, but I think this is going to work. There are some leaves in there that are kind of blurry, but I don't mind that. I think that really adds to the effect. And if it doesn't, then I can always clone them out. Oh yeah. So what's that from, Jeremy, you think?
I'd say it's a deer.
See, so this tree here, something's been rubbing on it. Probably a deer or elk, maybe?
It's a bit close for an elk.
Yeah. 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 So, wouldn't you know it, the first trip I actually go on where I don't bring my my rubber boots. I could use my rubber boots. The whole lakeshore is just flooded like this, and of course all the best shots are out in the water a little bit. So I've kind of donated my shoes to the cause, but the lake is very cold. Jeremy and I are kind of photographing the same thing. There's along the edge here, there's some just beautiful colors of the leaves that have fallen off the trees, and they've kind of washed to the side here, so they're all kind of piled up. And this is where this camera, this GFX 100, I think will really excel, because it's all about the details. And there isn't really a center of interest. I call them wallpaper shots. So it's just a mass of color and all these leaves. It's just a pattern shot. And I think Jeremy's more or less taking the same thing. It's just absolutely beautiful. You can see all the little water drops on each of the leaves, and some of them are kind of rotting a little bit. And then you'll have others that are kind of red and oranges and yellows. So it's just a beautiful, just a pattern. And you know, not everybody's cup of tea, but I really enjoy this type of photography. The only issue that we have on the side here is there's a little bit of wind rippling the water, so I have to use a relatively fast shutter speed because the leaves are moving a little bit. The good thing is though is that the leaves are flat, so you don't have to stop down all that far. As long as your camera back is parallel to the surface of the water, which in this case it is, then you shouldn't have to stop down very much, maybe f8, f11, and that'll enable you to keep your shutter speed up. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. There's so much potential here. It's unbelievable. It's a little tricky getting around though, I must admit.
Once again, I'd like to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. If you're looking for a beautiful, professional looking website, then why not head over to squarespace.com. For example, if you're setting up a gallery of images, all you have to do is drag and drop your selection over to the page. Once you've dragged your images over, it's very easy to caption, sort, and even edit those images. Interested? Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and if you like what you find, use the code AdamGibbs for 10% off your first purchase.
So where Jeremy was standing, I actually went over and had a look at what he was photographing, and I think I liked the leaves quite a bit better. I don't know, the colors just looked a bit nicer. And then we noticed, or Jeremy noticed, that there was over to the right of where he was, the leaves, they're kind of separated a little bit more, and they have some kind of black water kind of surrounding them. And so I took some shots looking down on those as well, and I think I prefer the ones with a little bit of separation around them. So Jeremy's just giving that one a little go. The hard part about that was keeping the shutter speed up, because it is moving quite a bit. It's quite windy today, so it's a bit of a problem. But I'm pretty sure I got some sharp images in there, so fingers crossed, because if they are, the detail should just be incredible, and it might be really neat to print one of these up if they turn out well. So Jeremy and I are just wandering around the woods here. They're quite dense, but there are these clearings, and you'll get these individual trees in these little meadows, which is probably one of the nicer of the areas in these dense forests. Otherwise it gets very busy. But what I've found here, really quite like this scene. We have these aspen, obviously, but there's a bit of a clearing that goes out to the lake, and as you can see, the lake is very turquoise, so it has that nice band of turquoise in the background, which contrasts beautifully with the yellow aspen. And then also, if I kind of move my camera in the right position, I can see some really bright red aspen on the other side of the lake. It won't be sharp all the way through because I'm using a relatively long lens, but the trees in the foreground will be sharp. And again, I've tried to compose it so that as least amount of trees as possible are kind of interjecting with one another. So the main tree is the thicker of the aspen in the foreground here, and then there's 3 or 4 that kind of fill the gaps, and then there's a bit of a wider gap with the lake behind, and another group of trees. I think it will work quite well. The light is, every now and then the clouds will part and there'll be a bit of sun coming through, but right now it has this, I don't know, it feels like it has a nice pastel feel to it.
Well, that's it for this week's installment. Thank you ever so much, everybody, for tuning in. I just wanted to mention before I leave you today that I wanted to thank all of you that have picked up my book, Quiet Light. Thank you ever so much. If you are interested in picking up a copy, I still have a number of copies available. And also, I have a follow-up to the book with a Quiet Light 2021 calendar. If you're interested in either the book or the calendar or even both, then head on over to kozubooks.com and you'll be able to find out all the information about the book and the calendar there. All right, until next week, bye for now.